Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just last weekend, North Korea conducted its sixth and possibly its largest nuclear test. Although we have had various sanctions in place now for years, North Korea has evaded many of these sanctions and aggressively advanced its nuclear weapons program. So it seems to me we need a better approach if we're going to have any hope of pressuring the North Koreans to change their behavior. Dr. Park, I know that in 2014 you interviewed 21 high-level North Korean defectors about the impact of financial sanctions, and you found that sanctions imposed costs on the regime, but that they had the unintended impact of forcing North Korean procurement networks to innovate, and as a result, actually to get stronger. So let me ask you the question this way, Dr. Park. Many of the sanctions imposed thus far have not deterred North Korea. Does this mean that sanctions against North Korea can't work?
Senator Warren, I would frame it as sanctions plus other policy tools. And under that heading, diversifying the policy toolkit, the time is now. And I think this is where we can do the full court press in these other areas. So there is the opportunity right now, and I think there, in certain quarters, the political will, but it has to be done in a way that is viewed from the national interests of the other parties in order to get the type of cooperation and the time and the scale that we need right now.
Well, you know, it seems to me that if the recently passed U.S. and UN sanctions don't address the ways that North Korea evades sanctions, then we need to redesign the sanctions or redesign the enforcement so that we can make that happen. President Trump can threaten fire and fury, but experts say that a land war on the Korean Peninsula would result in the deaths of millions of people. He can threaten to cut off trade with any country that trades with North Korea. But we all understand that that would cripple the U.S. economy. We need to use every realistic tool available to reduce the threat posed by North Korea. And I think that means military readiness and intelligence and sanctions and diplomatic pressure on the North Korean regime. Now, Mr. Zubin, in your prepared testimony before a recent banking subcommittee on North Korea, you said, and I want to quote you here, "We will need massive diplomatic investment and multilateral engagement and help from banks and businesses and other countries if we're going to have any chance at all to succeed." The State Department is one of the primary agencies responsible for building those coalitions. And yet the Trump administration has proposed cutting the State Department budget by 32%. Mr. Zubin, if the Trump administration cuts the State Department budget by 32%, would it increase or decrease any chance we have of countering the threat posed by a nuclear-armed North Korea?
Senator, as I said in the May hearing and as I said today, this is the time to have our strongest diplomatic representatives out there. And that means not only to have our State Department staffed, but also to have leadership in place and to carry the types of sensitive messages we're talking about here and to show that we mean it. It can't be done by junior career foreign service people. We need ambassadors, we need assistant secretaries, undersecretaries on planes, as we saw with Iran, to show the world that we're serious.
Yeah. You know, we provide the strongest defense of the United States and our allies when we support both a strong military and a State Department that has the resources it needs to push back on North Korea and push them back from the edge of a nuclear apocalypse. Cuts to the State Department aren't just stupid, they are dangerous. I hope we don't go in that direction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.